Hi, everybody. Let me press my start button on my timer here so I don't go over. Welcome, I'm Karl Erickson. I'm a video artist mostly. I am diving into sound and I do some live performances and a whole smorgasbord. But my dominant themes are environmentalism, sci-fi, or science fiction, and connecting with other intelligences, which I just think of as a way of connecting to the wider world around us, to think about our place in a larger ecosystem. How do we exist in harmony with the things that are part of our greater world? I like to use the idea of science fiction as a way to explore this because it's a metaphor that lets us open up the imagination. If you're going to be into science fiction, you already have to be open to some far out concepts and to maybe putting rationality to the side a little bit. And it's by having this imagination that allows us to decenter humankind, or at least our individual selves, from the dominant conversation, so we can see things from a larger perspective. Sound okay? I hope. And just I'll show you today. I thought I'd show you examples of a couple things that I'm doing and my work setup. Art is weird. I've gone from being able to stomp around Vietnam and to be in the Arctic Circle on sailing ships and explore the world. And now, you know, for the past several months, my world has been basically, you know, this room. I just wanted to show what my world is like now. As you can see, it's very different. I know I'm making everybody sick, but I just wanted to show you my working setup. I have this collaborator, which is my plant, and I have my audio synthesizers, which are all this mess of cables, which are big network systems. And then I have my monitor and my computer. And that's how I work. And these are all things that between the synthesizers, the computers, and the plants, these are all conversations that I'm trying to get going, okay? And to show you what I do, I make videos, as I said, and they end up looking kind of like, well, what's a good one to start with? I do these kind of hand-painted digital animations, digital videos, and they are about, again, that idea of connecting to other worlds and they have other intelligence, have their space, about what would happen if, you know, humankind were decentered from the world and the conversation could be had through or with another species. So they look kind of like this. Can everybody see okay? Sometimes they're slow, sometimes they're meditative. Very, very seldom are they at all narrative. I'm not really a big storyteller. I like to set up my videos, my art as experiences. And so, and you can watch that one on online if you want to see it more. But one of the things I've been recently doing is, in order to really hold true to that idea of collaboration, is the sound is being controlled by my plants. They're partially generated. I have to collaborate with the plants to make it all happen. Oh, by the way, I see Aaron Williams is on here. I made that plant at PlySpace in Muncie, Indiana, and I made that video at PlySpace in Muncie, Indiana. Wonderful residency program. Everybody wants to take part in it. But rewind. So I'm collaborating with my plants, and I do that through my synthesizers and my animation program. So it ends up looking a little bit like this. This is a wonderful animation program. It's also something that you have to collaborate with because it is kind of in perpetual beta. I think it's one of these wonderful programs, unlike Photoshop, where we know what everything's going to do. I don't think that even the builders of this program quite understand what's happening yet. But you can see that I have this plant flower creature that I drew. and it's lip syncing along with me. So you can kind of see me talking up here, and it's tracked my head so I can dance around. And its mouth is more or less mimicking what I'm doing. What I've done is I've hooked my plant up with all these wires. I don't want to make everybody dizzy again and show you that. But my plants are hooked to my synthesizers, and they will make sounds kind of like this. Let me change the settings a little bit. And so what I can do is kind of invent and get in conversation with my plants through touch and sound. So like it speaks to me, I touch it in a certain way, and maybe it'll stop talking. I let go and it starts talking again. And the super fun thing for me is that it is always not necessarily random, it's just indeterminate. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the plant is going to be feeling with that day or feeling like that day. And so it surprises me, and it really does become a conversation, and the program will glitch out. It'll do funky things, and I just try to record everything and piece it all together. And so in my few moments left, I will show you a video that I made with these techniques. Using that technique and that plant, I made this video. That was the plant, starting that, and there we go. That is my 10-minute artist talk. So the software I'm using is Adobe Character Animator. That was that, but I'm also doing other paintings in a variety of programs and the animations from After Effects to Photoshop to a thing called Procreate on the iPad, just whatever works. And then the synthesizer is a whole mess of other things. Martine.
Do you make some sense of what it does, or is it just funny and pleasant? Or do you make some sense, like I see this because this happened, or whatever communication or maybe it's not the intention. So can you tell me something about that?
I see two answers to your question. One is the plant making sense. Like, how intentional is that? To that, I can only say, who knows, right? But it does respond to touch. It responds to the environment. If I've just watered it, it's more active. if it's been moved around a lot and I touch it, it goes quiet. But if it's been still for a little bit, it is more active, or more responsive, and the sounds seem to be a little bit more gentle coming out of it. So there is some sense that way, and I'm learning to communicate with it through touch and listening to a plant, which is a different way. And then the other part is like, does the artwork make sense? And part of me wants to say, I hope not, because the idea of communication and getting in touch with other things is like, well, if we already have a game plan in place, if we already have the methods of communication set up, then it's cut down a lot of avenues for exploration.
I mean, sense in a way that you programmed it in a way that you can get some relation of what you see on your screen and what happens with the plants. Maybe that's what I meant by sense.
Mm-hmm. And there's some of that. I'm a practitioner and somewhat believer in the whole amateur brain thing, or novice brain to things, where I don't understand what I've built over here so much, and I use a lot of real-time video synthesizers and programs and stuff like that. I don't always know what's going on, so I can set up things that I think are going to happen, and then it does something else.
It's more what gets created from that. You just set up a few parameters, and then it does what it does.
Yeah, and then I do come through and I cage it in a little bit with what I think should happen, or with then the story that I want to tell. Good question though. Thank you.
If not, are you ever surprised?
Oh, all the time. Yeah. I set up everything this morning before the talk, and the character was moving around a certain way, the sounds were a certain way. It was different. So like the notes were a lot sharper today or this afternoon than they were this morning. So who knows?
Chris here from North Pacific. Do you have any question for us?
Are you asking? I have a question for you.
That's my question for you. Do you have a question for us?
Yes. I guess I like to think about.
I'll read it for you.
Yeah. Okay.
So here is a question from Laura, Indiana. She said that I wonder how children or pets will respond to this video. Have you tried that out yet?
Dogs don't seem to like to be in the same room as the sound, because I think it's really sharp and high pitched a lot of the time. I've shown some of the videos to kids for a little bit, and I think that they respond to the colors for a while and the movement, but then the lack of story and voices, they're just not as into. But yeah, my question for everybody is, how do you think about your plants? Do you talk to plants? Do they, how much influence do they have on your day? But you have a wonderful background. I'm assuming in the Pacific Northwest, you have tons of plant life and nature around you. How do you address it in the day? Do you talk to it?
I have to confess here, I do talk to plants. When I hike in the forest, I like to touch all those big trees and then feel it. It's nothing about the kind of the non-scientific thoughts. You remind me of the recent research talks about how trees, they actually live as a community. They do talk to each other. That research was done, I think, scientists from British Columbia and also a German researchers, a collaboration.
Talking about houseplants, I think I have a big relation to my few houseplants, but I would like to say that it happens on a different time scale. I wouldn't think, so maybe our relation would develop through 1 year, 5 years, a few months, but like talking in the time that we share with another human, I don't think it really happens unless, of course, you shake it or move it or something. But the fact that, yeah, well, you would see the plants turn toward the light, but it would take days and days and days. And then they would grow accustomed to you, or you would start to feel something for the way the branch is. So I would think of another time. When we think of communication, we might think like I talk and you talk back, but like different time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we always want things to be so fast. And I make short videos and short sounds and I talk fast and all these things. But yeah.
This will be our last question from Erin. She said that I forget about my inside plants, but definitely talk to my outside plants. Maybe they are louder. Have you tried this outside?
I haven't done it outside yet, but some of my research shows that like the plants outside tend to be bigger and hardier, so they have more electrical activity in them. They are more active. So I think that if I put this with some of our outside plants, it will be maybe not louder, but more chaotic to us.
Before we go, I want to read Toby from Indiana. He or she said, "Great talk, Carl. Love seeing your current direction for myself. I have very few plants inside, but the relationship between the ecosystem I can live inside my house and what's happening outside, this is really interesting. Do you think about how this expanded relationship with the outer world might exist in your work?" So
Yeah.
I guess that will encourage Carl to come back for another artist day.